Hey y'all, good morning. We are at the B Loop camp again this morning. We got in last night after hiking the B Loop, C Loop trail, got over to Tucker Hill, cut across the AB Cross Trail, and then we headed southbound on the Florida Trail, and we are back here at the campsite. We got in last night. There was a couple of other gentlemen that were out here, KB and Keith, and they had a fire going, and they were all set up, boys. I'm telling you, it was, they had it going on. They had a couple of chairs, little folding chairs that only weighed a pound, and they said they use them on the AT when they do their section hikes. And some folks picked fun at them, but I tell you what, for a pound, I sat in one, and for a pound, they're worth it. I think they're worth the wait. You know, if you can cut in other areas and you can utilize that as one of your guilty pleasures, boy, it'd sure be nice to get into camp and be able to unfold that out of a little stuff sack and set in it. It's got a backrest, but they had a fire going, and they told us once we got set up if we wanted to come sit around their fire that we were welcome. So me and Tim came and sat around their fire and had a chat with them. KB is an Army veteran as well. So it was great meeting you, KB. Great meeting you, Keith. Thank you guys for your kindness. They even offered us up some hot water this morning when they were breaking down their camp, and we were just finishing breaking down. They offered us some hot water for our coffee and tea and whatnot. So, and then they filled up our water bottles for us because they had a little cache right off the main road, and they carried some stuff in from their cache and then carried it back out this morning and stashed it where they'll finish their backpacking and pick it up tonight on the way out. So that's something to remember, folks. If you're backpacking and you're close, campsite is close to a main road or a county road where you can get in and cache something along the trail. They cached some firewood and a cooler full of soft drinks and whatnot. So that was great. You know, if you can do that and still get out here and backpack and not carry that weight, but you're just going out for a weekend, you know, it might be an option for you. I'm not going to run into the same problem I ran into last week. This week I went out and bought a 10,400 milliamp hour power bank, and I got this from Walmart. This is a black web. Now this should give on average about 4 charges, four full charges to an iPhone, and it's got a little digital readout on it. So I charged it up before I left. We're at 58% right now. What I've done is I'm charging my little power bank. I can get 2 charges off this, and then I've also charged Tim's phone, and we're still at 58%, and I'm almost done here. So I think this is working out real well for me. I just use this at camp and keep it in my waterproof bag, and then I carry my little one in my pocket during the day so I can plug it up to my phone as I'm hiking if I need some charge on my iPhone. But I learned last week that you need to have an extra power source, or a lot more power than what I had, which is the one that'll charge it twice. I ended up going dead completely, my phone and my charging system, in 24 hours. So that's something when you're out on the trail you don't want to be out of. Not this day and age. When we have phones and GPS and we can use them, especially for emergencies, it's important that we keep them up for safety. All right, y'all, I mentioned yesterday that we were going to do a little bit of cooking with Brother Tim. And Brother Tim is really thinking about the trail name Backwoods Vegan. And at least maybe for a YouTube channel name, but he's going to talk to us about his vegan diet out on trail, and meant to do it last night, but by the time we got in here it was dark and there were other gentlemen out here, and I really didn't want to be filming. Kind of may creep people out a little bit. I wonder what we're doing talking to a camera, but anyway, I'm gonna let Brother Tim talk you through what he eats on the trail.
For breakfast, I usually eat a cup of oatmeal with some granola, and then I started adding some nuts with that. Then also dried fruit you can always put in there as well. It's pretty filling, gets me through until lunch pretty well. And same with the oranges too. And I like carrying fruit on the trail. It keeps me hydrated, and it gets me through the day pretty well. All the way to lunch. For lunch, like yesterday, I had some dried potatoes with some seasoning. For me, like I said, this stuff, it works pretty well for me. I don't have a problem with it. And then, like you do, carry peanut butter as well. That's always a good idea.
Right.
If you ever want a snack, and it's got a lot of calories.
And there's different types of butter too, right? Peanut butter, almond butter.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Many different types you can choose from, different nuts.
Yeah, that almond butter, though, is kind of expensive.
Right.
Unless you make it yourself.
Walmart's actually got little sampler packs now, so if there's different types of nuts that you haven't tried in a peanut butter form, you can actually buy the little sampler packs before you commit to a whole jar.
Right, okay.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then the oranges, folks, these are little tiny oranges. I don't know what kind they are for sure, but they're the little seedless, and they can be heavy, you know, if you're going to carry a large bag of them. Now, if you're one of those guys that want to go ultralight on your base weight, you could maybe sacrifice, especially if you want to eat a plant-based diet. Sacrifice, you're going to gain a little bit of weight with this fruit, but you're going to eat it along the trail.
Right.
And we ate quite a few of them oranges yesterday. Brother Tim had enough that he shared it with me, and it's a good jump on vitamin C, and had you know, they have no seeds in them, delicious, and they're biodegradable, so you know, you could take that pill and toss it off in the woods. I wouldn't recommend, you know, throwing it along the trail. We're supposed to leave no trace out here, but they are biodegradable, so you know, if you don't want to be an eyesore to folks, you could always bury it.
Right.
And stash it underneath a tree or something that's down and rotten, because it is biodegradable and it's just going to give back to the earth.
Right. Yeah. And I know there's not a lot of plant-based people out there, or vegans, but Cliff Bars are all vegan. That's always a good choice to go with. That's pretty much it. The dried fruit is a good idea. I like that. For anybody, really, you know, it's light and it's dehydrated, so.
Which most trail mixes are nothing but nuts and dried fruits.
Right.
Right. Brother Tim has been a vegan for almost 6 years now, and he's got a lot of knowledge on how to eat a plant-based diet, and some of the things you may think, you know, may be too heavy for your pack or something, but you got to remember, you know, with what he's got, it's like instant oatmeal. That doesn't weigh much. You know, you can stick a lot in a Ziploc bag, and it's not weighing much. The granola and stuff, the peanuts, you know, these are things that are not excessively heavy. And I tell you, his oatmeal that he made yesterday with the dried fruit in it and the nuts, it looked a lot better than what I had. Even though I bought some instant oatmeal from the store, you know, and it had the almonds and cranberries in it. It was very good, but his looked better because he had bigger, juicier fruit, and it looked amazing. So it's amazing what you can do, folks, if you put your mind to it. If you're out here on the trail and you want to eat a plant-based diet, I believe there's a lot of things where, you know, it'll cut back. I'm certainly believing on inflammation. You know, if you have inflammation in your knees, in your body, in your back, and you're getting back to camp and you've got some swelling inflammation going on, a lot of that comes from the acidity in meat. So if you're eating a plant-based diet, and it will alkaline your system. And I know from experience where I went plant-based diet for a couple months, that within 1 week, folks, if you go plant-based for 1 week, I'm not saying this is going to work for everybody, but for me, 1 week is all it took for the arthritis to disappear in my hands. I was at the point where I couldn't even clench my fists. And I went to a plant-based diet. My body alkalined, the inflammation went down, and I had no pain in my hands. So folks, there's certainly something there. If you can eat plant-based and you can stay away from the meat, stay away from the dairy and the cheese, the animal products, I tell you, for some folks, it'll make you feel a lot better. And even being out on trail, if you can learn to eat that way and learn to live that way, you might see a difference in inflammation and swelling. So something to think about. All right, a look there at Tim's oatmeal. Man, that's a breakfast of champions right there. This is Old Path's breakfast this morning. This is the breakfast of runner-ups. All right, y'all, so we got a nice little 6.3 mile hike today from the B Loop campsite over to the Tucker Hill Day area. And from there we'll be just a couple miles to the truck via the road. So we're taking off from the B Loop campsite this morning. We're heading northwest on the Florida Trail. We're going to go past the AB Cross Trail, which is the Blue Blaze Trail there, and continue on around the Florida Trail. Now you'll see about the 10 o'clock position in your screen there on the left-hand side. That is the Florida Trail heading off sharply to the northwest, the Red Trail. And from there on, we'll just continue on the A Loop southwest past the A Camp, which is the little brown tin icon, to the water source there. And that is the Tucker Hill Day area where we're going to take lunch and then head on out to the truck. All right, and heading out on the trail right now. We woke up this morning, folks. It was a frigid 47 degrees. And in Florida, that's frigid. I mean, up north, y'all get cold, so I know you northerners probably making fun of us. But there's some things that y'all can keep to yourself, and you can just keep that cold weather. We don't need it down here. So that polar vortex, y'all can keep that up north. But 47 degrees, we're still doing it like sports, man. We got the shorts and t-shirts on, so we're doing all right. We'll get out on trail and we'll warm up. Right now it's about 51 degrees and we're gonna hit the trail northbound. We'll see y'all there. All right, y'all, AB Cross Trail. And go into our west there. That's what we came in on last night. And this morning, as I said, we're going to go Loop A, and that'll take us north. So, following the Florida Trail. So, northbound, let's go. All right, y'all, just starting out on the A Loop. And look at this big depression right here. That's for all my Army buddies there. One of those 5 terrain features. The depression. So that's a large depression right there. Look at that, folks. Somebody got creative on the trail and come out here and invested all sort of time there sculpting a cross of Nero. All right, y'all, still on the A-loop. We're probably not even a mile into the A-loop yet where it split off. Of course, we're on the Florida Trail, but man, I tell you, this is beautiful. This is definitely a lot of different elevation gain over the southern portion of the trail. So this is by far now my favorite loop in the Croom Trail. This is beautiful, and a lot of up and down elevation gain. So this is going to give me a good workout. It's going to give me a little bit of idea of what I need to shake down out of my pack as far as the weight or the way my pack rides going up and down hills. And looking forward to the AT. Brother Tim behind me there. Going uphill. We're really following a ridge here. We just came down through the saddle, and we're on top of a ridge right now. Let you look at this. This is probably by far the steepest point of the trail we've come to so far. It's a pretty good incline here. All right. Woo! Hey, I've reached the top of Mount Withlacoochee. We're following the ridge line right now, and we're coming down through a saddle. Very faint, kind of hard to see here in Florida, but you can actually see a little bit there where the spurs come off the hilltops, and a bit of a draw there. But there are some elevation changes in Florida. This may be it for Central Florida as far as elevation change in the terrain. You don't see it much in Florida, so the Withlacoochee State Forest, even out there on I-75, you can kind of see it there around the 300-mile marker. I-75, you can see you're kind of in rolling hills, so there is some elevation change in this one area of the state for one reason or another. You can see way down there, I can't tell if that's a trail. It looks like it may be a fire road. Hey, also, we just come up to the split in the trail, and as you can see, AB Cross Trail is 3.2 miles down the Florida Trail there. That's what we came past this morning, the little split. We actually came across the AB Cross Trail last night and then hit the Florida Trail south, if you remember the video. And it was a very scenic area right there, but that's 3.2 miles that way. We're not quite yet to the west side of the AB Cross Trail. It's a little bit further down the trail for us, but this is the point of the trail at which the Florida Trail goes off on its own, and the A Loop Trail, basically the Blue Blaze Trail down the Tucker Hill, cuts off from here. So I hope I didn't confuse y'all. I'll give you a little screenshot of gut hooks so I can explain it. But A Loop, that's what we just came around on. Tucker Hill is south from here. The A Loop kind of goes northeast, and north to Willow Street, the Florida Trail. So right now you would head off to the northwest, if you will, of this position to hit the Florida Trail to continue on. So we're going to head south from here on to Tucker Hill. So we've got just a little bit more to go, and we're going to stop for lunch at Tucker Hill, and then we'll head east for a road walk back to the truck. So we'll see y'all there. This looks like it's probably the A Loop campsite. So it's pretty close now to the trailhead at Tucker Hill. And here they have a fire ring, a couple of benches, and there's probably some level spots as well to pitch a tent. And this is 3/10 of a mile from the trailhead at Tucker Hill. So if you get into Tucker Hill and you're not feeling like doing any sort of distance, maybe you get in late on a Friday night, this might be a good option. Just 3/10 of a mile out, pitch a tent, you got a place you can build a fire, and head out from here. Hey y'all, we just made it to the Tucker Hill day area, and we're going to stop here like we did yesterday for some lunch, and just take the weight off for a little bit, and then we're going to head back east on the road. So we've got about 3 miles to the vehicle. So it's only going to be a short mileage day. It's only going to be like 9.3 miles. So we hit 6.3 miles from B Camp to Tucker Hill, and we've got 3 miles east back to the truck. So we're going to sit here, eat some lunch, and I've got some stories to tell. Alright y'all, I just wanted a little bit of table talk here out on the trail, story time along the trail. You know, there's some things that happened along this trip that I wanted to talk about, and I think because it's humorous, and also because I want to be able to remember this later on. I can look back on this video and just kind of remember those things that happened along the trail that we thought was humorous. And if you're watching yesterday's video where we were doing the B loop and the C loop along the Croom Trail, and near the beginning, Brother Tim, you might see him raise his trekking pole in his left hand as he's walking, and he's walking. We're doing a shot away from the camera. We're walking away from the camera, and Brother Tim raises up his trekking pole, and you might wonder why, because there's no audio there. It's got music with it, but we thought this was pretty humorous. We're setting up the camera on the trail with the little tripod, and we had already done the shot where we're walking up to the camera and we're walking past the camera, and then I reorient the camera to the front facing camera to where it's pointing down the trail, so as we walk past the tripod it gets a shot of us walking away from the camera. And right now in the state of Florida, it's hunting season for deer hunters, so hence why Brother Tim is wearing the orange cap, and why I've got an orange vest hanging over my my backpack, is because it's hunting season. So it's recommended to wear the hunter orange for safety. And as we're setting up the cameras, we're talking, we're walking down the trail, and then Brother Tim looks off to the left. We hear a buck snort, and we look off to the left, and there's a couple of deer hunters not 50 yards off the trail looking directly at us. And they said something to us. I couldn't make out what they said to us. They were probably a little disgruntled. They blew their buck snort because we're out here making racket on the trail as they're deer hunting. But you know, I'm sorry about that if you're a deer hunter. But you know, we share this area. It's a recreational area. There's ATV trails, equestrian trails, backpacker trails, And not to mention that we were actually on the Florida Trail, which is a national scenic trail. So if you're hunting in a state forestry and you're hunting, you should know somewhat your surroundings. You should know that there's a backpacking trail that runs through your hunting area. But we really thought that was humorous, folks, that I hated to ruin the day for those hunters. Now maybe we got on down the trail and we were loud enough, we jumped a couple of deer and drove them back to them. Who knows? I don't see any reason why they should have been really upset unless they had a deer in their sights and we spooked them off. But maybe we got on down the way there and jumped one up for them. I don't know, but that was definitely humorous. And then Tim had a story about last night, brother. What did you hear in the middle of the night?
Oh yeah. I was sleeping and then I woke up for a minute and I thought I heard growling, and I thought there was something growling outside my tent. I thought maybe they had heard me tossing around, and it scared me, I'm not gonna lie. And I come to find out though that it was actually Brother Quentin snoring.
Yeah, so typically I don't snore. I lay on my side, and my air mattress last night was deflating a little bit for some reason, maybe because it got down cool, but my hips started hurting, so I was rolling from side to side, and eventually I just laid on my back. I was like, I need to lay on my back, and some reason when I sleep on my back it obstructs my airway somewhat, and usually I'll snore. It's more or less a snort, but you know, and I'll wake myself up doing it. And I'm certain that that's what Brother Tim heard,
yeah.
And it woke him up.
Yep.
But it can be quite loud, and it's deep and throaty. Almost sounds like an animal growling, I'm sure. But yeah, I thought that was pretty humorous. Brother Tim, it scared him. And down here in Florida, folks, we have Florida Panthers is what they call them, but they're mountain lions. That's exactly what they are. They're mountain lions in Florida. They call them Florida Panthers. They're in that same family. They may be a little different, but they're of that feline family, and they're very large cats. And I think that's what Brother Tim had thought he'd heard, you know, one of these Florida Panthers. So it can be frightening, especially it was fresh in his mind because we'd hung a bear bag up in the tree, you know, to keep the rodents, raccoons, panthers, bear down here. They're a little more up north around Ocala. You need to hang a bear bag when you're out backpacking. Not so much down here, I don't think, but there is a bear cable at the B Loop campsite. So if you want to hang a food bag, we actually hung one up over a tree. Use a Pacific Crest Trail type bear rig system, and we rigged it up over the tree. So maybe Brother Tim thought he heard a bear as well. I don't. But you know, just some of the funny things along trail. Today, coming down from the scenic overlook on the A Loop, while we were up on the scenic overlook, we ran into a mountain biker, and he had a dog with him. The dog's name was Molly. I guess it was like an Australian Hiller. Is that what he called it? Australian Hiller. And it's like a cattle dog, rounding up cattle and whatnot. Seemed to be a really friendly dog up on top of the hilltop there as we were talking with this gentleman. And then as we got to backpacking again, walking down trail, we probably made it maybe a mile down trail, and we were just talking and chatting, and we heard something come up behind us, and we looked. It was this mountain biker, and we started to step off to the side of the trail, and Brother Tim stepped off the side of the trail, and it's, what do you say to him, brother? Like the extent of go ahead?
Something like that. But the dog was stopped. The dog didn't want to go, and then he told the dog, go, and then he came and bit me on my ankle.
So perhaps the dog was thinking he was angry with us and saying go to us, and I don't know. Whatever the extent was, the dog bit Brother Tim. So, you know, he didn't draw blood, or she, right, Molly, she didn't draw blood. She didn't hurt Brother Tim, but she did bite a hole through his sock. But she, you know, she's a healer, so she bit his heel. But you know, just along that topic, folks, I see no problem with animals being out on trail. It's good for them, great exercise. But this gentleman, in his defense, I don't think that Molly has ever bit anybody before, because he seemed really surprised and upset with her, and it just caught him off guard, I believe. But there are people, I'm sure, that they know the temperament of their dogs, and I hear about it along the Appalachian Trail. But folks that bring their dogs out on trail into the shelters, and I know Quicksand on the Trails, his YouTube channel, Quicksand spoke about being in the shelter this year, and somebody's dog started nipping at him, and I think that's uncalled for. If you know the temperament of your dog, and your dog doesn't get along well with other people, or with people or other dogs, you should do one of two things. You should either keep your dog at home or keep your dog on a leash. And that's just my opinion on the matter. But you know, certainly if your dog attacks somebody, and your dog has that sort of temperament or attacks other animals. Now, I know for a fact this morning, the gentleman that was on the trail, the mountain biker, he did have a leash, and he put the leash on Molly when there was other dogs around. So obviously Molly doesn't get along with other dogs. So that might be an indicator that you need to keep your dog off the trail. She got a temperament along other dogs and people. Then you need to keep your dog at home. That's just my opinion on the matter. What do you guys think? You know, write your comment down in the comments below and on the hiker's log. Let's keep it civil though, folks. It's no arguing matter, but I'm just curious about how you feel on these matters, if you agree with me or am I way out there in left field. So thanks guys for lending your ear as we tell stories there at the table. We're back on road, so heading back to the truck right now. We've got 3 miles to go. Just finished up our lunch and we're moving out, so that'll be it on this video. Nothing really to show you along the road here, but thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the Croom Loop trails, and just encourage you, you know, if you're down around the Florida area, Withlacoochee State Forest, Brooksville area, Dade City, come on out and backpack this Croom Loop trail. It's beautiful. So the day area of Tucker Hill is where you park your vehicle if you're a backpacker. You plan on doing an overnighter. Now if you get out here later at night, like in our instance, I didn't know this. I know they do close the gates at dusk, so usually 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. I guess it's 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. is when they close their gates. And so you can't get your car in there after that time. So if you're a backpacker, the best thing to do anyway is to park it right across the street from the day area. There's a trailhead and a little gravel lot, but you go in there, $2 per person. I guess if you're going to be out 2 days, you would drop like $4 per day, maybe $8 if you're going to be out for a couple days, cash in an envelope inside their drop box, and they got a little vehicle registration tag there you tear off and you put that in your vehicle, so they know your vehicle there and you're a backpacker. So that might be helpful to somebody. Now I didn't know that when I came out here, so we parked 3 miles down the road at another trailhead, and of course my vehicle's unattended and I hope everything's fine. And we might get back and it might be sitting on blocks. And if so, we've got a long hike ahead of us. So thank you guys for joining us, and I hope you come out here and hit the trails yourself. So I did it again. I need to learn on my speech, work on my speech skills.